Hello fellow YouTubers, welcome back to YouTube Gaming Community number 99. So in case you're wondering where I've been since I basically stayed off the radar most of YouTube and off my Facebook and Twitter and everything, when I made my last two community videos back to back I had a sore throat at the time. You know, and with the anniversary, you know, the person I've talked about before, and not sleeping well, and I guess all the heat from this, how hot the summer was, and luckily now it's starting to cool off a little bit. It must have all just basically caught up to me, and I got sick. I got a fever and a cough and a cold, which I still have a cough and a cold, but basically all I wanted to do has been sleeping. I had to drive my wife crazy on my day off because every chance I got I would sneak into the bedroom or just lay on the couch and doze off for 10-15 minutes at a time, or every time she'd catch me, you know, dozing off. And then yesterday evening I was like, okay, I've had everything together for this video for a couple days now, and I go, okay, I can record tonight. And then a friend of this guy said, hey, we're recording an online gaming war podcast, want to be a part of it? And I said sure. So I did that last night and said, well, it's kind of fitting we could push this off to Friday. That's the regular night anyway for a video, so let's just do that. Now if you're wondering, how are we going to get caught up next week? Well, first of all, on Monday we're starting off with YouTube Gaming Community 100, which will be about small channels. And in case you're wondering, starting 100, it'll be the slight change of the title, not much. After all the suggestions, basically what I decided to go with was YouTube Gaming Community 100, and the title will be simply Beginnings. And I have two videos specifically that gave me the idea for that topic. And on Wednesday we're going to simply mix the medium and big channels together, 10 videos of big channels, 10 videos of medium, and then Friday we'll get back to small channels and back to rolling on the normal schedule. Thank everybody that I have not simply answered your comments or channel page and stuff due to the fact that I simply had stayed completely away from YouTube, almost completely from that time period. So let's get to our topic for the day that I mentioned last video, and that is, are we headed for a possible video game crash today? Now, in order to put this in perspective, now Steve Benway's video that I shouted out last Gaming Community, he did not exactly, wasn't sure whether it was going to happen or not, but there were certain conditions that happened back then that he saw. Now you got to remember, let's put this in perspective. In the 80s, when the Atari had the console crash, because there have been more than one, back then video games were considered a fad. Yeah, the media thought it was a fad, a lot of people thought it was a fad. So when video games console market crashed, people thought that's it, video games are done, and they went on with their life, didn't think anything about it. People like me who loved video games moved over to PC to play games like King's Quest and stuff during this period while we waited. And then luckily Nintendo brought out the NES, which brought the console market back, and has been back here ever since. I remember every country's different. Some people had crashes, some people didn't. And there are a lot of differences between then and now. You gotta remember, that was a fad. Today, video games are very quickly becoming one of the top forms of entertainment for everybody. It's no longer just a certain demographic, no longer just boys a certain age anymore. Video games are now appealing to many different demographics, many different age groups. It's not just simple teenage boy anymore playing video games. So this is where it is much greatly different. That video games today are, and I know people say, you know, there are too many video games made today, and I do think there will be a pullback. There are too many of the same kind of games being released too quickly, so maybe I'm pretty sure that'll have to happen over the next couple of years due to the economic situation stuff. But today you have so many different games made for so many different people, from kid boys to kid girls to teenage girls to teenage boys to adults, that you have so much variety today. And we're going to just stick with the consoles. We're not going to stick to handhelds. We're not going to stick to cell phones, social, and all the other stuff. Today you have fanboys, something that never existed back then, where people are loyal to a company, a game series, a console today. That in some ways is a stopgap from that happening. That today, when a game blows up, it blows up big, like Call of Duty. It sells, you know, millions upon millions of copies its first day of release. And the other way that, by the way, the other thing that people don't bring into the argument is simply A lot of video game companies now, with all three systems having some kind of form of online store, are selling their older games on there, and they're making money off their older games too. So they're making money off the new games and the old games. In order for my opinion, to have a crash, we'd have to have a whole total economic collapse, for a total collapse to happen in the video game market. I mean, when you talk about a crash, you're talking about people not happy with Microsoft system, or people not want to buy a game on a Sony system, or people want to buy a Nintendo system, and I just don't see that happening. These video game companies over the last couple of years, we pay attention to third-party developers, they have been shedding companies that haven't been making money as the economy's gotten worse. And today, they answer to board of directors, they answer to shareholders, so they have to be profitable. They can't just, unlike the 80s where they just flooded the market with games and had no thought of how to run a business or what they were doing. They were just contributing to something, not understanding what they need to do to stay around. It's no longer the case today. That's why we're not going to see a crash. We'll see a pullback. I just don't think we're going to see a crash. And remember, today there are so many avenues that these companies can make money. They can risk, having some games fail while they figure out the games that are going to make them more money. So, anyway, leave your comments below what you think. Are we headed for another video game crash? Are we not? And your reasons thinking why we are or we aren't. So, we have a second topic today. I got a message from somebody that led to this topic. 78 Strider Hyrule, the guy I shut out a long time ago originally in the YouTube game community videos, had a contest. And somebody in this contest decided to make a bunch of fake channels and enter multiple times, and he didn't win. And he got upset. And so what he basically did was threaten to hack 78 Strider Hyrule's channel. Now 78 Strider Hyrule closed his channel down. His new channel is 78 Strider Strikes Back, and there's a reason for this. And I will link to this channel and check out channel list below, the new one. It's because he had his personal email address attached to his YouTube channel. And he's worried if this guy had hacked his channel, he would get into his personal email address. He not only would be able to find out, let's not talk about financials and stuff, but could get, find out about his family and his friends, and he could harass them or do stuff to him. And it scared him, and so he closed the channel down and started a new one. And the reason why this is a topic today, the second topic, is a lot of people don't realize whether you have one viewer, whether you have one subscriber, you are a celebrity, and there are certain things you lose when you become a celebrity in any form compared to being just Joe Nobody in public. Being a celebrity in any shape or form, you have to worry about people who not only have bad intentions, but you have to worry about people who become so enthralled with you they become a stalker. Not a fanboy. Fanboys just like your content, and they get giddy, and they gush all over you, but they mean no harm. But the stalkers and the people who want to do bad things are the one thing that people don't think about. You gotta be sure, especially on your YouTube account, you make sure that the email account attached to your page is not linked to your personal email account. When you film a video, make sure there is no personal information in the background you don't want people to know. Some people say, well, I don't care. Well, you know what? You don't care until bad things happen to you that lead stress to your life or to people you care about. I'll give you an example. Back when I did my very first video on YouTube, I recorded it, put it up there, then I made a couple more, and then I told my wife, I made a channel, and she watched the video. And it had gotten no views at this point. And she said, you need to take that video down. And I said, why? What, you don't like it? She goes, no, our address is in the background. And so I deleted it. Now, you have to be aware of whether it be personal pictures. Even if you're filming outside, you have to be worried about simply, I know people may cause paranoid, location. Because a lot of people out there will piece things together. And it's not the normal person who likes your channel. It's just that you got certain people that are stalkers, that you don't know their intent. So be very, very careful on YouTube. Because despite you may think it's just about a love of the hobby, that love of the hobby and not paying attention to keeping things safeguarded could very well leave a lot of stress in your life. And I don't condone this guy what he did. I don't condone making the false channels for a contest anyway. But the fact what he did, just threaten the guy like that, is just, to me, that is just childish. You lost a contest. Who cares? Suck it up and move on. I always laugh when people get mad. What was so great in these contests that people get upset about that you really had to have now anyway? That would, like, you know, what game that was so, oh my gosh, or thing they were giving away that you needed so badly that would, you know, affect your world that badly? It's just a game or a system or a gift card. You can get that down the road if you don't win a contest. So I'll put a link to his channel, and good luck to him. Hopefully he gets the new channel up and running, and everybody from his old channel goes to his new one. So one more thing, a little bit of bad news that I saw, or someone else who needs a boost, I would say. So I happened to on Big Daddy Dart's home channel page, aka used to be known as Cree 411. Great guy, collects a lot of action figures. Me and him on Skype had messages back and forth a couple times about the 80s action figure stuff, because, you know, I was an 80s kid. And I happened to see a message from Nerox saying, you know, how's everything going? Hope everything's going, and give me an update. And so, just out of curiosity, for the heck of it, I clicked on Nerox's page, and I saw that 4 days ago, I saw this one originally posted, it was posted, but now it's like 4 days ago, Big Daddy Darts left a response to Nerox. And since he put it on the front of a channel page, this is, when you do that, it's obviously open for everybody to see, so I'm going to read this to you. It says, I was back in the hospital last week, just got out this afternoon. I got 2 drains and a feeding tube sticking out of me, so it's going to be a while. I wish this shit would end. Can't eat or drink anything for at least 2 weeks. So go to Big Daddy Darts. I'll put a link to his checkout channel. Go to his channel. Just tell the guy you're pulling for him that I hope he gets better. He's had a really rough year. You know, it seems like every time he's about to get over, you know, his medical things that he's had for a while now, it just seems to come back. So, or, you know, just a bump in the road. Tell the guy you're pulling for him. Wish him good luck, because sometimes people just need that when bad things just happen over and again. For personal experience, years ago in my life, for a 2-year period, a couple-year period, was severely sick until they found she had a DV syndrome. It was a very stressful time in your life when you think every time you think you're getting over that hill, the hill just keeps kicking you down again. So let's get to comments from YouTube gaming community number 98. In 98, I talked about DLC as the topic. And the first comment I have is from OldSchoolNYCGamer. And his comment was, the fighter for PC was a great and long game. They released a 3-mission expansion for $20, adding a great deal of content to an already hefty game. That is what DLC should be, not a nickel and dime fest or additional content to an already stripped down or short game. No, it shouldn't be free. However, people are justifying their complaints when DLC is used to complete a $60 unfinished product. In some cases, DLC is a backdoor price hike. It's not so cut and dry. And I will say this, one thing that does irritate me about games is when I buy a game and the game is not, you don't feel like the story and everything is finished, and then when the DLC comes out, you get the end of the story. But I will make this counter argument about the $60 price of a game. If you were back in the Genesis and Super Nintendo games, when they added more memory to these games, some of these games were $80, $100. So simply, if you had, so you can honestly argue that back then and now, the price, if you had to pay $100 to finish a game, sometimes that's happened before. Though I agree, I don't like when I buy a game, the story should be finished. I shouldn't have to buy DLC to finish the story. The next one is 94 Last Land. I would like DLC if it wasn't out so fast. There are currently DLC for games that aren't even out yet. Shouldn't that DLC be implemented in the game instead of using DLC to add to the game? Is it being used to break up a game into parts and sell the individual parts for more profit? This is why I can't support DLC. Well, rule number 1 about DLC, it should be the game really, or the company you're talking about. One of the games that is always celebrated for DLC is, of course, Oblivion and Elder Scrolls. That the DLC was a big add-on to the game, and so when you got your money's worth, right? You get 10 or 20 hours in a 20-hour DLC, you're getting your money worth. Not when you spend the money and you can only get a couple hours. People feel they're getting ripped off. I mean, when DLC is already out before the game comes out, it automatically makes people go, customers go, wait, I'm buying your game and you already got DLC out for it, especially when that DLC is needed to finish the story about your character. Next up is Galbex Gaming. I'm kind of happy that you get the first Battlefield 3 DLC if you pre-order. I wish more companies would do that. It's also incentive to buy the game at full price of $60. I think more companies would sell more copies of their games if they do that. And I will admit, I'd like to see more companies, instead of giving me some little thing in the game that's going to be DLC later, why don't you just give me the future DLC for free? And I'll get to the other part about why free DLC can spur your growth of your game. And next up is Pixel Justice 20XX. Boy, if I could get his name right. I remember the day when game creators would release extra content as a thank you to the fans for having purchased their game. New maps, player skins, etc. And it was to show gratitude to the crowd of supporters who had spent their hard-earned money. Nowadays, it's not enough to buy the game. You have to buy extra characters, levels, hell, even wallpaper for your Xbox. It's ridiculous. I miss the days of appreciation to the fans, not just a money grab. One of the things that does irritate me about some game publishers is sometimes by releasing DLC free for your game, it could spur sales of your game. It can remind people your game's out there, and sometimes they're on the line going, you know what, I might buy that game, and now there's free DLC, I'll buy it. And you're right, back in the day, you could really go to PC because that's more expansion packs and stuff. They were released free as a thank you for people making a game sell really well, and by thanking them for selling the game selling so well, they'd make DLC to add content to the experience of the game. And it really wasn't until this generation we moved into paying for DLC, right? And so the people who release DLC for quality DLC for free, they will have a loyal followers who loyally will follow them because they reward them. It's like video game companies who make games, right? You follow that company like Valve because the guys go out of their way to support and help their fan base, so people loyally follow them because of that reason. And the last one is Dumez. I think you are wrong about DLC on disc. It should be free. You said yourself if they develop it only because they intend to sell it as a bonus, it's not a problem if it's developed at the same time as the game itself. If the DLC is finished at launch, what would you prefer? The DLC on the disc but locked, or the DLC on the internet you must download? It is obvious that if it is already, it should be on the disc even if it is locked. The reason why I hate DLC that's either just locked is because simply you are only paying them money to unlock a code. It's the same concept today when you download a demo. When you download a demo on Xbox Live or PSN, that 1 point some gigabyte is actually not that little bit of demo, it's actually the whole game. And if you ever download a demo and then actually put your game disc in, it just says it unlocked. Because it is essentially the whole game, it just isn't unlocked. Because they need the whole game to run the demo engine. So this is the sense with DLC is that basically that part's locked off, that they're giving you a code. They're not really adding any additional content. You're not downloading anything else new. And I understand where you come from. Some people don't mind that they do that. That's fine. I mean, for me, I don't like buying a game and knowing there's something on there that I can't get access to. I did not buy that game so you to tell me there's certain things on this disc I can't get to when you publish the game unless I pay for it. And whether you like DLC or not, at some point there is going to be a fight on DLC. At some point, I do think in some ways the price point on DLC is a little high right now. I mean, now they just announced, Black Ops is getting a 4th map pack, but this map pack is actually stuff that the Prestige and Hardened editions already got. And so, again, DLC, it's going to be one of those things that I think ranges on. I do think, I don't think the DLC price is necessarily right now. Again, it's early for them charging people for DLC, so we'll see in the end ultimately what happens. And ultimately, the ones who give you the most content, whether it be 10, 20 hours, extra, you're obviously more likely to go by that than the person says, you know what, I'm going to give you an hour or two, or oops, we didn't finish the game, here's DLC. But on the other hand, I mentioned this, and I'll mention this again. Imagine playing a lot of games today without the patches and the DLC, and going back and playing that game, and imagine how bad these games would be. Imagine these games that are completely broken without a patch when they are released. Someone who plays this game 20, 30, 40 years down the road, and imagine their opinion of that game. It's much different than the people who actually patched the game. So, anyway, enough about that. Let's get to videos to check out, shall we? And the first one is by Vanburen20. And it is Nintendo Shorts Contest, Nintendo Points Giveaway. It's giving away 2,000 Nintendo points on whatever you have, a Wii or a DS or a 3DS, whatever one you have it on. And it's congrats because he just hit 1,000 subs. So congratulations to him for just hitting 1,000 subs, because that's what this video contest is about, because he just hit 1,000. So basically what you have to do is something Nintendo did before, make a Nintendo short. Go Nintendo short. They'll respond to this video by August 10th, and then him and his wife will pick winners, and the winners will get 2,000 points. Next up is Mr. Zebra Gamer, 2,000 subscriber special and Q&A answers. Basically answers, you know, question and answers that people had asked him. And getting with that question and answer segment, also check out David Hassel 3L Haas video, I'll link that below. The Bean Boozled Q&A part 1. He just also hit 1,000 subscribers in between each of the 40 questions. Basically he would take bean Boozled jelly beans and eat some in between each questions. Next up is Messyvideogamenerd 8-bit answers, FC Mobile 2 and Castlevania 3. If you did not know what the FC Mobile 2 is, if you've never seen it, it's a handheld that you can plug Nintendo cartridge, NES cartridges in, and you can play it on it. If you've never seen it, check out this video, or him showing Castlevania 3 on it. Next up is TigerClawTV. Let's play Rockman Exile, and he does the Flashman boss, which is just a crazy boss. Now, if you've never seen Rockman Exile, check it out. It's basically, you know, basically a homebrew game. Next up is Hard for Games, Astal, the 3D Saturn experience. A really awesome, beautiful looking Saturn game. If you've never seen it, check that video out. And then PixelProspector, Tobe's Hookshot Escape. Now, Tobe's Hookshot Escape was released for Windows 7 phone, but also on Steam there is Tobe's Vertical Shot. So if you're interested, check that video out. Really cool looking game, which started off ironically as a Newsground Flash game. Next up is ProjectDOlphin, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Airship Stage Remix Remastered. So if you want to live some Marvel vs. Capcom 2 experiences, check that out. And then AtariLeaf, ColecoVision Frenzy, A Closer Look. If you did not know, Frenzy was basically a sequel to Berserk. And if you want to see what it looks like, check it out. Next up is OldSchoolNYCGamer Trash Finds, Flea Market Pickups, 7/31/11. If you've never seen it in Television Gemini, he also picked up some other really cool items, and got it for a really good price, so check that out. Next up is Thomas3120, My Sega Genesis MegaDrive Collection A through F Summer 2011 Part 1. He has 2 other parts if you want to go to his channel after watching the video. Really cool to see his collection. Next up, MarkVergeer Commodore 64 was Webit hack. This video is like 40 minutes long, but it shows you how, he hacked his Commodore 64 Commodore 64 Webit. If you've never seen it, it's really cool, different looking Commodore. He hacked it and he shows you all the games and what they look like on that actual computer. Some of the games look pretty nice. Next up is LMA187 Return in Pickups. He's been gone for a month, he's now back, he's got a new webcam, and he shows you his new pickups. And then last but not least, StrictlySega, checking out some Amigas, Part 1. He goes to this guy's place who has just this trailer full of old Amigas, and he just shows you Part 1 of like a lot of these old cool cases of the games and these old Amigas. So if you're interested, check that out. So guys, that's all for now. I will see you for Monday for number 100.